Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, just making sure you're awake. That food was amazing. So I'm going to spend the next 3 hours talking. Okay, come on, someone's got to laugh about it. So, all right, Rappahannock Electric Cooperative, we're co-op in Virginia, about just outside of Washington, D.C. Just from the numbers, we serve parts of 22 counties, about a little bit over 180,000 meters, over 4,000 square miles service territory with 18,000 miles of line. So a very both urban and very rural region that we serve. To see where we are, we're located, as I said, kind of sandwiched between Washington, D.C., Richmond, and Charlottesville. It's a very beautiful part of the country. If you've not made it out there, highly recommend that you come out there. So we're structured a little different than most co-ops, but you see more and more innovations. So REC has, in the last 5 years or so, created several affiliates to address different things. So one was on the IT side, we created a company called Brillit that actually now supports not only Rappahannock, but also many other co-ops throughout the nation, about 18 states, and we've gone national in that. Secondly, Vividly Brighter, it's a regional energy services, energy solutions, electrician services, and we'll talk a little bit about why the vision for that and why that was so important. And lastly, hyperscale energy services, and I don't have to say too much when you hear hyperscale. How do we address the needs of the data centers and, while making sure we protect the rest of our consumers, the 180,000 that we serve. And so that's been our latest adventure, and it's going to be able to provide the access to the market for the power that the data centers need. So now that we've talked about that, let's get into the real issues, right? I don't have to go into this. Everyone knows that these are the things we're dealing with. We still see the growth of EVs within our service territory. Hyperscale, we'll talk a little bit about that. We've got an aging infrastructure. How do we address that, and what does the future look like? And so if you look at Virginia, we're #1 state to do business, and guess what? The governor would not want that to go to #2. So they're going to keep doing everything that they can to bring business to Virginia. But we've got a mismatch. Very energy dependent, our economy depends a lot on energy. And as of this year, 40% of our energy actually did not come from Virginia. So how do we address all these factors while we're growing? And so I pulled up PJM's report, and I wanted to show you all where we are. We're part of PJM, 13 states and DC. You can see the peak demand as of 2024 was 165,000 or so megawatts, and capacity is 182. So we have about 16,000 megawatts, give or take, in reserves, right? Well, let me show you what we're dealing with. This is what the data center landscape looks like throughout the nation. And you can see only about 15 states account for the 80% of the data centers. And Virginia, 25% of our power goes to data centers. But us directly as a co-op, this is the reality. I'm gonna let that sink in for a little bit. Our all-time peak, about 1.2 gigawatts. We have contracted 4.2 gigawatts of data center load. And you can see the requests essentially get us to maybe even, New York City, the load of New York City or Finland. We're serving a load of pretty much, we'll be serving what a whole country could have. So question is, how do we find the solutions? How do we address this? And I think I found a solution somewhere. Let's see.
Did you touch the thermostat? Did you turn it up? Well, of course not. Did somebody fiddle with the thermostat? Yes, it's 85 degrees. 85? Do you have any idea how much even a few degrees can impact the gas bill? Of course I do. It's unthinkable.
Dad? Kurt, what's going on in here? Why is it so hot?
Someone fiddled with the thermostat.
What? Who would do that?
What do you think you're doing?
It's roasting in here.
I like to sleep with my window open.
Hey, kid. Are you allowed to touch the thermostat at your mom's house?
Duh.
What is going on? Adriana, she turned up the thermostat.
Said she fiddles with the thermostat at your place anytime she damn well pleases. Dusty, is that true? Tell me that's not true. Oh, criminy, Dusty. You might as well give her your wallet and your 401k while you're at it. Brad, do you let the kids touch the thermostat at your house?
What? No. The thermostat is a sacred covenant. I can't believe we're even talking about this. This is madness.
Well, I do like Will Ferrell, so you cannot go wrong without having Will Ferrell. But the reality of it is, consumers have changed. What we see as a consumer today looks very different. So how are we going to address some of these things? So I'm going to just challenge us in a few areas. I think most of us have seen, we've been talking about what are the things we need to do, but I think the first thing we really need to think about is how do we build generation? The mismatch of demand versus the lack of generation, I think, is a critical thing. I want to contend that we need to look at nuclear a lot more, and not just the small modular reactors. I think we need to be looking at big nuclear, because I think that's the only way we could address some of these things. Hydrogen, and I know everyone can say whatever they want to say, but I do believe there's a future in hydrogen at some point. Is it economical today? No. But I think we need to be planning how to be hydrogen ready, so by the time we get to that point, it may be 20 years from now, it may be 10 years from now, but who knows where we're going to be. But it's the preparation to get us to where we need to be. Thirdly, I'm just going to point out that the way we manage the grid will look very differently. I think you heard, some of the things that Brian at Holy Cross is doing and the like, and how do we use all these new technologies to manage the grid a lot better. The expectation for reliability is higher and higher every single day. With people working remotely and the like, we cannot have a system that's not reliable. So the systems we have will make a big role. Microgrids, Hala just did a really good job talking about microgrids, and I truly believe that this is something that will take on more and more, and both from either the utility doing it or the consumer saying they want to do it themselves. So the question is, where do you play in this game, right? And so as we think through some of these things, the question is, how do we address even virtual power plants? If we're going to have this many devices coming onto the end of the consumer side of it, behind the meter specifically, can we take advantage of those assets? How do we ensure that we're using the assets that are already there to the benefit of both the consumer as well as the utility? And when I look at these numbers, it tells me there's a great opportunity. And I happen to pull up this study that was done looking at what is the true benefit of a virtual power plant. And this done to get 400 megawatt of adequacy. You can see the difference between a gas plant, a battery versus virtual power plants, and that costs significantly lower. This is the opportunity I think we can look and say virtual power plants could be part of the solution to address the demand that we have. So I talked about Vividly Brighter. The reason why we created this was specifically because of the last slide. We want to take advantage of all those devices at the end of at the meter, including if someone wants solar, we will install it for them, we will help finance it, and we'll make sure that they're compensated right for anything that we do, be it a battery or the like. We want to make sure that we're in the game and helping our consumers. And I can tell you there's a lot of interest in what we're doing with Vividly Brighter as a brand. And so when we think about how we address the need of the demand that we have, we looked at this as one other way we can actually help our consumers. And so to kind of just wrap up a little bit, there's that you could sit down in a room and just expect things are going to change, right? And what's that called? Insanity, right? Or why not ride the wave of what the future looks like and actually provide solutions? And I'll tell you who figured this out. We've talked AI so much. If you look at all the Super Bowl ads this year, it was AI after AI after AI after AI. Do you know who got it right?
You can't, we can. Michael and Son.
They wrote on the AI move, best 5 seconds anyone has ever paid in Super Bowl. Thank you so much.